Hello and welcome to Behind the Bands, where we take a deep dive into the local artists of the area. We're your hosts, Kevin Eckberg
and Zephyra Green. On today's episode, we are getting to know a band that is self-described as bluegrass blended with hints of punk rock. The band is called Creek Stink. We get all the details soon, but let's kick off the show with their song, Strange Guy Who Lives in the Woods.
He's got a treehouse hideaway, but he's a root cellar fella with a mushroom suntan and a love for the land. The starlight strikes him greenly when your head is turned. Strange guy who lives in the woods. 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 Come on! The stone bauble snicked at the kitchen table, and the snake story slither against your skin. It would be nice to stay all night, but how do you get back home again? Strange guy who lives in the woods. 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 What did he give me in that mason jar? I don't know if I can find the car. What did he give me in that mason jar? I don't know if I can find the car. What did he give me in that mason jar? I don't know if I can find the car. What did he give me in that mason jar? I don't know if I can find the car. Strange guy who lives in the woods. Strange guy who lives in the woods. Strange guy who lives in the woods. Strange guy who lives in the woods.
And that was Strange Guy Who Lives in the Woods by Creek Stink, a band from Ozark County, Missouri that includes husband and wife Eric Tuminia and Amelia Lemare. How are you guys today?
Great.
Good. Doing great. Happy to be here.
That's good.
So we heard you guys live and record on a farm. Is that how you came up with the Strange Guy Who Lives in the Woods? What inspired you to write that song?
Well, I do most of the songwriting, and I think I was inspired by a number of different people that I've met who are strange guys who live in the woods. Particularly one guy named Mark Garindy. And, but we meet a lot of strange guys who live in the woods, and a lot of them will come out of the woods to come to our farm and hang out, listen to music.
But they're friendly?
Usually.
Okay.
Usually.
Yes, usually. If they drink too much moonshine, maybe not.
Yeah, that's when you want to get on home.
Yeah.
So I understand the band started in 2014 when you, Eric, started as a solo recording artist. Is that right?
That's right, yep. Yeah, I never intended for Creek Stink to be a live band, I don't think. But, 9 years later, I think we started playing shows in 2016. So something like 9 years later, we've played a lot of shows, and it's fun. I'm glad it became a live band, but it started with me just recording with a 4-track cassette machine, like a Tascam 414 cassette machine, and writing these songs. And I never never worried about anybody hearing them. And so now when I write songs, it's a little different because I know somebody is going to hear them, which can sometimes be a little intimidating during the songwriting process.
Yeah. So, Amelia, Eric tells us you learned an instrument to join the band. What was it, and how hard was it to learn an instrument as an adult?
Yeah, so I never played anything until starting to play in Creekstink, but I learned the electric bass guitar, and I would say it was fairly easy to learn, but my playing is still very rudimentary, so probably my main barrier is just time, having time to practice and get more advanced. But yeah, Eric he's a multi-instrumentalist and also has a background in teaching, and so he's a good and gracious teacher, and nothing like just playing in a band to make you learn by immersion.
Yeah.
I understand you sometimes play with other artists in the band as well.
Yes. Yeah, we've had different members over the years. At one time we had a fiddle player and a banjo player, and those guys have moved on and formed their own bands. The fiddle player, Petey, has a band called Front Porch now, which is a pretty successful, like, bluegrass kind of band. And then now we have backup singers that join us sometimes called the Stinkettes. So in that case, we're Creekstink and the Stinkettes.
Right.
And sometimes we have 3, 4, 5 Stinkettes. We really don't know how many sometimes. They just come up on stage and start singing.
They just waft in.
I have to ask, how did you come up with the name Creekstink? It sounds almost derogatory.
Yeah. Stink doesn't always have positive connotations. I think I came up with the name back when I was recording stuff by myself and didn't know that it would be, I'd be explaining it in an interview, you know, at any point. But I like nature. I like getting out to creeks. I like floating on the beautiful Ozark creeks, and
They do have that smell.
a smell. They do have a smell, which can be a good smell or a bad smell depending on where you are at the creek, and if there's anything dead sitting in the creek.
So it's an acquired taste, the smell.
Yeah, maybe it is an acquired taste, and one that I associate with having a good time on the river. And also a lot of, I would say a lot of bluegrass bands like Nickel Creek and others have the word creek in their name, and I thought Creekstink was kind of like a way to invert that norm, I guess.
That makes sense. So how do you balance farm life, family life, and music life? And whose job is it to feed the chickens and gather the eggs?
I love that question. That is the question, really.
Yeah, I would say it's all pretty intertwined at this point. So I don't know about balancing it or how well we really balance it, but I usually collect the eggs and kind of manage most of the day-to-day chores with the animals. We have goats also.
Oh, I love goats.
And yeah, they're cool and naughty, but yeah, we kind of each have our roles on the farm, and a lot of times we take our kids to the shows with us, and a lot of times there are other kids hanging out too, and so it's pretty integrated. And
Human kids, not goat kids.
Yeah.
our children.
That's what she means, yeah.
Good distinction there.
Well, Eric, you've mentioned off air that you got sober before Amelia had your first child. So how did that experience affect your music?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question, and I appreciate that question. When I got sober about 5 years ago, specifically, I drank way too much, and that habit probably developed over time, partially because of playing music and being in bars a lot and being at parties a lot, and so that was really a big change, and I took a couple years off, really, we took a couple years off from playing Creek Stink shows. And for a while, I was kind of like, asking myself, will I be able to play music again? You know, I think I had tricked myself into thinking that I needed to drink in order to like get into the creative state or the performing state. And so it took me a while to realize that I could still play music and I could still perform and I could still write after getting sober. And I think I'm way better now.
Wow.
You know, I'm way more functional, and I can drive the van after shows and stuff, and that's awesome, you know. So it's really been a big improvement, but it took time to like relearn how to play and how to get up in front of crowds without, you know, the liquid courage or whatever. I appreciate that question.
Sure. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So how do you describe your sound? You don't mind being called bluegrass, but you mentioned a little punk. So how does that factor into your music?
You want to say something on that?
Yeah, it's always weird to like describe your genre. I think probably anyone who's into bluegrass would be like, you guys are not bluegrass at all. But that style of music and also like the old time music and early folk, I think is definitely kind of a format and inspiration. And also, if you tell people it's bluegrass, it's like something they understand, so they might show up and come see you.
That makes sense.
When you live in the country like we do. Yeah. It was probably more bluegrassy when we had the banjo and the fiddle, you know, like when it's just the two of us, we probably play a little more rock, but you know, my background is in punk rock and more rock and roll or whatever. I'm probably not good enough personally to play bluegrass, but I like it, and I really like the Carter family, you know, like folk music and the American folk tradition. So I kind of like using those forms, those songwriting forms, those compositional forms, and then kind of toying with them.
Cool.
Yeah, it is cool. So the next song we're going to hear is called Let's Start a Cult. Could you tell us a bit about that song?
Yeah, so let's start a cult. I don't personally advocate starting a cult,
Okay.
at least not of a sinister type, which I guess is usually how cults are. But yeah, as I say in the song, we're not talking Heaven's Gate or something like that.
Right.
You know, a suicide cult or something. I think I was inspired to write this song because cult, the term cult and the idea of cults are so interesting to people. Cults are interesting, you know, so I'm like, okay, that would be an interesting song. People will be like, oh, cults, you know, but then I'm trying to like invert the notion of a cult. Like a cult doesn't have to be, you know, people following some demented guru, you know, or something like that. It's like, let's all believe in something positive, and sure, you know, if others want to call it a cult, that's what it is. I think really what I'm describing in that song is more of like a positive, like agrarian counterculture, and maybe people call it a cult, call it whatever you want. We're living our lives in a positive way, having fun. Call it a cult if you want.
Let's take a listen. Here is Creek Stink with Let's Start a Cult.
I love it when our crew gets together We just can't get enough of one another. Sometimes I wish the party'd never end, so I came up with this plan. Let's start a cult. 20 acres and a herd of goats will make the neighbors nervous and scratch in the dirt. Let's start a cult. We're not talking Heaven's Gate, Waco suicide or poison cakes. We'll just grow food and hang out. That's what it's all about. Yeah, let's start a cult. 20 acres and a herd of goats will make the neighbors nervous and scratch in the dirt. Let's start a cult. Now we'll need a charismatic leader who's smart, sexy, is a good public speaker. If you want the job, please let us know. Attach your resume below. Yeah, let's start a cult. 20 acres and a herd of goats will make the neighbors nervous and scratch in the dirt. Let's start a cult. We won't have to wear bras or breeches, and we might get called witches. We'll keep our darkest secrets hid and indoctrinate the preacher's kids. Yeah, let's start a cult. 20 acres and a herd of goats will make the neighbors nervous and scratch in the dirt. Let's start a cult. Let's start a cult. Let's start a cult.
And that was Let's Start a Cult by Creekstink. We're once again back with Eric and Amelia. You have an album coming out called Bunker Blues. Will Let's Start a Cult be on that album?
Oh yeah, you bet.
Great. Could you tell us a bit more about the album?
Sure. The record Bunker Blues is going to be out soon, probably in July, and it's being released on vinyl. It'll be a vinyl LP released by We Rock Records out of Springfield. Nice. We Rock Records. And it's that label's 98th release. And it's a pretty cool little record label if any of your audience want to check it out.
Right.
So what is your typical songwriting process? You do music then lyrics or lyrics then music?
You know, it's a little bit of both. I would say lately it's been more lyrics first and then music, but I work both ways, and I try to vary my process so that I have different results. I feel like if I get locked into one process, like I write lyrics and then I put music to it all the time, then all the songs kind of end up coming out the same. So I try to experiment so that I have different results.
The next song is called Paranoid People. Could you tell us a bit about that song?
Yeah, so this is off a previous record titled Paranoid People. It's the title track of our album, Paranoid People. And, you know, I guess when I was writing that one, I wanted to toy with the idea of what I see as somewhat widespread paranoia, people feeling paranoid about the state of the world, various conspiracies and hidden agendas and things. And I was just trying to write a funny and fun song about those kind of fears.
Sure.
Let's check out Creekstink with Paranoid People.
I'm gonna have a lot of kids and give them all guns. Gonna put up a fight when the end times come. Gonna build a bunker with a big steel door. 1,000 rounds of ammo hid down in the floor. Because we're paranoid people. Oh yeah, we're paranoid people. The world's getting hotter, the scientists agree. They say the earth will burn in the next century. You better leave them big cities, move back to the land. Plant a field of turnips, hide out from the man. Because we're paranoid people. Oh yeah, we're paranoid people. Paranoid people are fun. Paranoid people know how to use a gun. Paranoid people make pretty good friends, 'cause we all gotta stick together when the world ends. Yeah, we're paranoid people. Oh yeah, we're paranoid people. Oh yeah, we're paranoid people. Oh yeah, we're paranoid people.
And that was Creekstink with Paranoid People. And we're here again with the band. You've blended music into your home, and you seem to support other musicians. Could you tell us about your community gatherings and Slacker Solstice?
Yeah, so we have, we live out basically in the middle of nowhere, but we like to see people and be around art and music and also educational things. So we basically decided just to create that. So we have a weekly gathering called the Sycamore Salon, where it's always a potluck dinner. It's on Thursdays. It's a free event that everyone's welcome to attend, and we have all ages from babies to 80-year-olds come every week, and we'll have like a potluck dinner and then a guest speaker or an activity or something. We've been doing that for like 2.5 years now, and it's really fun, and it's been a great way to build community, like have a solid community where people are showing up week after week, getting to know each other, working together in different ways, having a good time. But then we also do this big party in the summer called Slacker Solstice, and this summer is going to be at the 10th annual of these, and it's basically like 3 days of music in our barn, followed by a float trip on the river by our farm. But it's kind of like a big family reunion with all of our weird and crazy friends, a lot of which are musicians. So we will have like 30 or so bands playing.
Yeah, I think we have 35 bands at this point booked.
Across genres, and
July 17th through 20th.
Wow.
Everybody's invited. You guys are invited.
Cool.
yeah.
Bring a carload from Joplin.
But yeah, it's just a really fun, inclusive event, and also a showcase of like a lot of really amazing independent musicians from all around the region.
That's cool. All right. What would you recommend for any aspiring musicians, especially in the Joplin area?
Well, I think play as many shows as you can. Get out and play in front of audiences wherever you can find them. And if you can't find an audience, create a show, do it yourself. Just get out there and play as much as possible. Just do it.
You're going to play us out with a song called Vampire Bat. What is the story behind this song?
Well, this one's kind of funny because our 4-year-old daughter, whose name is Zia, and I were having a conversation about vampire bats, which led to, looking up vampire bats on Google, learning some facts about vampire bats, and it turned into a song. So really our daughter Zia gets a songwriting credit on this one. This is Zia's tune.
That's great.
Thank you so much for coming, both of you.
Thank you. It was
Thanks
fun.
for having
Yes,
us.
thank you very much.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Behind the Bands. Tune in next time when more phenomenal musicians of the area come to show their talent.
If you are a musician who wants to be featured on our show, all you need to do is contact us through the KGCS Facebook page. We're your hosts, Zephyr Green
And Kevin Ekberg. And thank you all for watching. To end the show, Creekstink will be performing their song Vampire Bat. Thank you all and have a good night.
I am a vampire bat. I feed on the blood of pigs. The world is full of creepy things. Slip up on sleeping host, suck you dry and make you a ghost. Mother Nature's hell on delicate wings. Fly high on Halloween night. Spread our wings when the moon is bright. Fly high on Halloween night. Sucking on you never felt so right. My year's number 9. See the dead all stand in line. Mother Nature's full of creepy things. Watch out for your sweet pets. I take all the blood I can get. Mother Nature's hell on delicate wings. Fly high on Halloween night. Spread our wings when the moon is bright. Fly high on Halloween night. Sucking on you never felt so right. I am a vampire bat. I feed on the blood of pigs.